Hey, I'm Lilia and I'm in software testing for the past 21 years, and right now I am a chief mentor for the Mentorpiece software testing school. We typically add internship to our courses, and if you are interested in what internship is, please watch the previous video on our channel. And in this video I would like to share the details about our particular internships. So the internship number 1. It has been completed about a month ago, and it was the internship for the customer with a financial side, and for the other customer, technological manufacturer. So about the first customer. The first customer, as I already said, is guys who are producing the site for financial operations and for training how to do the financial operations. In this company, there were no testing at all, no testing department. It is a startup, but they decided that it is time to invite some testers to test the functionality that has been already written. So they invited us for the short-term contract for 2.5 months to cover the functionality that is already written with tests. And then they intended to go to the investors and to ask for the second round of investments based on the results of our testing. So our goal was to assess the quality of the product, to find the bigger bugs, the big quantity of bugs, the possible, and help them to get the second round of investments. So what were our tasks? What was our work for this customer? We started from the technical and test documentation and tech talks, because as I already said, that was a startup and they had no technical documentation at all. They had only the functionality implemented on the site and no any description of how this functionality should work. So our testers started from the exploratory testing to get more deep into this functionality and to understand how is it working as a whole. And after it, they made tech talks about the functionality to each other, and then started to cover the functionality with the test cases, because this is, the most fast way to understand the application, to do some exploratory testing and to start working on the test documentation, to start writing the test cases. And this documentation in the future will be useful for our customer to make new testers understand how is it working. So they started from the test documentation and they accepted, asked customer to review the documentation and to accept that everything is right, how they wrote in the documentation, and our guys started testing the functionality. Of course, this is a startup and they had no testing at all, and that's why there were a lot of defects. And I hope that they found everything that was possible to be found during that short period, and this is the result. So at the end of the internship, we provided firstly the test documentation about the functionality, and we covered the functionality with tests. And secondarily, of course, we provided a set of defects, serious and not very serious, and the smoke test suite that could be used both on staging and on the production. And they, our guys, our students, they provided the smoke testing on the production at the end of the internship. So our customer now knows what is the current assessment of the quality of the functionality of the site. Okay, so what were the problems on the internship? Because this is a startup, this is a new project, and our students are new in that practice. And of course, we had some problems on this internship. And the main problem was our students during some time had no access to the database and to the backend. Because our customer expected from us to cover on the UI with the test cases and didn't interested in coverage of backend and the database. But we, as professional testers, know that it is quite impossible to localize the defects without access to the database and to the backend, because the root cause of a lot of defects is in the backend or in the database, not in the UI tier of the application. And that's why we negotiated with the customer to get the access to the backend and to the database. And we got the access at the end of the internship. So we resolved this problem. And I think it is important to mention our leads of the internship. Lead from the Mentorpiece. If you watched the video on the channel about how our internship is going on, typically, you know that we provide our lead from our side to the customer, because most of our customers haven't any software testing department, any software testing leads. So we have our own lead, you know it. And in this internship, we had a very experienced lead. He worked for very well-known companies like Borland and others, and had an experience about 20 years in the industry. And he right now is a software testing architect. So he is our lead from our side, and he helped our students to go with exploratory testing, to cover everything with adequate test documentation, to have the tech talks, to test, so with testing itself and so on. And it was really helpful. It was really useful both for customers and for our students, because he knows how to lead the team, and together with that he knows how to communicate, how to negotiate with the customer. And a pair of words about a lead from the students, because again, if you watch the previous video, you probably know that from some checkpoint from some time of the internship, we started to teach our own lead from the students, because it is important to to give the possibility to our students to try themselves as leads, because many people are planning their career as to start from the lowest, the lowest position, and then to go to the lead position and probably manager's position. And in our internship, we are given such a possibility to try herself in a lead role on a lead position, and that's why. We definitely had a lead in this internship. Her name is Nadezhda, and she is a very clever girl, and she really is a lead. And from the last month of the internship, she took all the responsibilities from our lead. And she leaded the team, and she planned the tasks, and she negotiated with the customer, and she controlled everything, and so on. And I think it was really helpful for her, because she found a job before she completed the internship. So I think it is very, very useful for our students to try themselves as a lead. Our customer for the second internship is a UPVC Windows manufacturer. It is not a startup. They have been working for a long time, but they had no software testing department because they considered that their editor for that production is enough to be tested by the engineers. But in some happy time, they decided that it is time to invite some testers and to help their engineers with the testing process, because engineers are, of course, very professional and familiar with that production, but they are not familiar with the testing itself. So probably it could be useful to invite some real testers to help them. So they invited us as a testing group for 2.5 months, and this project was a bit more difficult than the previous one, than the financial one, because there are a lot of new knowledge for our students, because they are professional enough in testing after our course, but they are not familiar with UPVC production, with UPVC Windows production, and it is completely new topic for them. So they started from the documentation, they started from the video watching about how to produce that Windows and how this editor is working. And I think it is rather difficult for them. But they managed with it. They get some knowledge about the Windows, not like engineers, but enough for start testing. And then they started from tech talks as the previous group, because after the exploratory testing, everybody had some knowledge about a part of the editor, a part of the production, manufacturing of that Windows, and everybody shared this knowledge with her colleagues. And this is, I think, the most difficult thing about this second internship. And the work is going like on the previous internship. Our students covered the this functionality with testing, with test cases, and after this internship, we provided the report. But we had another lead on this internship. That was me, who was the lead in this internship. And we had, of course, another lead from the students' side, because it was another group, so we should have another lead. And I would like to tell you about the lead, about the lead from the student side. Her name is Natalia, and she's also very clever and very calm and very, very professional. So I taught her on the course, and she was a good student, but I even didn't think that she will be so good lead, because she anytime she was very calm. She never nervous about some problems. She knows how to control the team. She knows how to negotiate with the customer. And when we got the problem with staging, and this is our main technical problem on the internship course, our staging was configured incorrectly, and it was difficult to understand sometime if it is a real defect or this is a misconfiguration of staging. And in this difficult situation, she always were calm, and she didn't nervous, and she negotiated with the customer, and she resolved all the problems. Because me as a lead, this time was only observer, like that, because I wanted to give her a possibility to show her as a lead. So I was an observer and just gave her some advices when needed from time to time. But she did everything herself. She negotiated, she resolved the problems, she controlled the team, so it was spectacular. So if you are looking for a new tester for your team, please contact me, and I will give you the contact of Natalia. She's really good. So that was the lead from the internship and from the students. Sorry, and maybe a bit more about that problem with staging. If you are not very familiar about the IT process, I could just tell you a pair of words. What is that, and why we had such problem? Staging is typically a special environment for testing, because it is not very, very correct to test everything on production, because we could just break something on the production and it will affect the real users. So to test the functionality, we typically use a special environment called staging, with the same data, with the same functionality, with the same version like in production, but it is safe to break something on the staging, because it is not on the internet, it is not for the real users, it is for the team only. And it is very, very important to have this staging configured the same way as we had on production, because we're gonna test the version, we're gonna test it in the same configuration like in production, to find everything, to find all the problems. And when the staging is configured incorrectly, it is a real problem, because we we gonna find some problems, some defects, and we cannot understand if this is a defect or this is a misconfiguration of the staging, and that's why we have this problem. For example, we cannot work with some data. Why? This is a functionality. It is some defect inside the code, or this is a misconfiguration. We just haven't this data in the database, and that's why we cannot see this data on the UI. So that was the real problem on the second internship. But I hope that it provided the impression of a real IT to our student, and that helped our student to have some practice how to negotiate with the customer, with the managers in such a situation, because this is a job of our future job of our students as testers, to negotiate if they will have some problems. And a bit maybe about the results of our internship. We also covered the functionality with the test cases. Not all the functionality, of course, because we had a short-term contract for 2.5 months only. And this editor was very, very huge. And it is quite impossible to cover everything during 2 months only. But we covered the main functionality, the main functions, and we created the material for the future testing department for this company. We created a material to start with. And of course, we tested the functionality, we tested the application, and we found, if I remember well, about 62 defects in this editor during 2.5 months. So pay attention, 62 defects. If you need some testers for a short-time contract, please refer to us, and we will find 62 defects for you. So this is about the second internship. Okay, about the third internship. The third internship is in progress right now, and it is the most interesting, I think, because this is a medical startup from California. I signed NDA like all our students, and that's why I cannot tell you more about this company, of course, but just believe me that it is really interesting, and the technologies they used are contemporary and really exciting. And it is very, very useful for our students, because they are not only getting an experience in working for any company, but they are now working for exciting, spectacular medical technical company from California. It is really cool, guys. About this company, not touching the details, of course. It is a startup, again, and they had no any software testers, no department. They are rather small company because they are a startup, but they really want to make our world better, and that's why they used all that technologies. They have 3 developers and the CEO and CTO, And we negotiated with directly with CTO of this company to invite our students. And we remember it about all the problems from the previous internship. Remember that the first problem was with the access to the database and to the backend, and the second problem was staging. And that's why we negotiated such situations before we started the internship. So when we came to the internship, we had the access to everything from the first day, and we had the staging configured in proper way from the first day. And that's why our third group of students is the most happy group among all the groups that we had on the internship during the past year. Since this company had no software testing department and all the testing has been doing by the CEO, when we came to them, of course, they had no test cases, they had no documentation. They had something like a list of the most important tests that should be done against the staging. But this list was not very professional because it was created not by software testers but by business people. But from the business point of view, this list was very important for us because this list made us the impression of what is the prioritization of the functionality, what functionality is more important, what functionality is less important right now, and in what order should we test. But based on this list and based on the exploratory testing that had been doing for the first week of the internship, our students, of course, again made tech talks to each other to make everybody familiar with all the functionality, and we recorded that tech talks and we put this video to our group to make it available anytime. And then they started to work in two directions together. The first direction is to make our students embedded to the agile process that our company has right now, and to test the tasks from the sprint, and to participate in all sprint meetings like planning, grooming, and retrospective and dailies. And another direction is to cover the functionality with regression test suite, because it is important as well. Since it is a startup, it is changing constantly every day, and sometimes that changes are very huge. And after that huge changes, we have to run the regression tests, at least smoke tests. And it is very important to have actual regression and smoke suite. So half of our students are busy with the tasks from the sprint, and another half of the students are busy with regression and smoke suite. And then we are changing, because it is really boring to do the same every day. So we have to change our students between smoke, regression, and current tasks. So this internship is still in progress, and we have 1.5 months more. And what is the future of this internship? Firstly, we have right now only a lead from the Mentorpiece. that is me again, and we don't have a lead from the student side yet. But during the next 2 weeks, we should find the new lead from among the students and make this lead responsible for control and review and so on. So leading tasks, and make this lead responsible for negotiating with the CEO and CTO. This is the very, very important thing, because right now I am doing this work primarily. But I want to mention in brackets that all our students have a possibility to talk to CTO every day, and even CEO, because if our students have questions regarding the functionality, regarding the business value, regarding the prioritization of tasks, they have a possibility to directly ask the CEO about that. And I think it is exciting, because in most companies, software test engineers have no possibility to tell directly with the top management of the company. But here we can do it, and this is good. So we should find a lead, and before we will do it, we probably firstly give our students a test for the leadership personality, and then negotiate with every particular student about if the student firstly wants to be a lead, because not everybody wants to be a lead, and secondly, if she is able to be a lead, because not everybody, again, is able to be a lead, even if she wants to. So this is the plans, and of course at the end of this internship we will provide a report to our customers, and I hope that this report and all our work on the third internship will be useful and helpful for our customers. So if you want to join us, if you want to join our internship after the course, or if you are a potential customer, why not? Please contact us and either join our course or contact us to negotiate the future internship.